Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves is coming out in 2027, which is strange because Pokémon was always very keen on releasing something big every single year, but also because, well, it's Pokémon's 30th anniversary, so not releasing something on the main series this year, it's a bit strange. But anyway, hey, I'm Not So Ace Trainer, welcome back to the channel, and when in 2027? Let's get into it. There's no real specific time when a Pokémon game has to release, as history shows that we've had all kinds of release months throughout history. Red and Green originally released in February way back in 1996, but their Western counterpart, Red and Blue, released in September 1998 in the US, as back in the day releases were not at the same time worldwide. The final games to go through this were Black 2 and White 2, that were released in June in Japan, October in North America, Europe and Australia, but all on different days, and then November in South Korea. But after that, starting in X and Y, games were always released at the same time worldwide. So X and Y was released in October, but then every game from Horus to BDSP was released in November. And then Legends Arceus broke the tradition by being released in January, and then Scarlet and Violet went back to November, and then ZA paid homage to X and Y way back in the day by being released in October as well. And so does this mean that there's a big chance that Winds and Waves comes out in November 2027? Well, I think Winds and Waves is a special case. I will compare it to ZA as I feel like they have a similar yet different approach. ZA was announced in Pokémon Day 2024 to be released in 2025 with a no in-game teaser. Winds and Waves was announced in Pokémon Day 2026 to be released in 2027 with a very well fleshed out in-game trailer that showed you the visuals, the starters, the characters and even a few areas. Both games were announced for the following year, but one of them feels like it could actually come out this year and be fine, while the other was a bit of a mystery. There is another thing, Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves were already added to the eShop, which makes me think that pre-orders for this game are not that far off, and that means that there is information coming soon, or at least soon enough. Usually, and as of late, the Pokémon news cycle works like this. First, you get an announcement trailer during the Pokémon Day Presents. Awesome, you get information and become hyped. Then, for close to 4 long months, you suffer. In fact, as a Pokémon content creator, especially one that talks about the current/upcoming games a little bit more than the others and is leak-free, this is the time when it becomes really hard to find something to talk about. But then, in June, there's the best trailer. It reveals legendaries, gimmicks, the region, new Pokémon, new characters and new areas. It is great. Then, August also has a trailer before and during Worlds, mostly focusing on competitive stuff, and then things start coming out more often. ZA, since it was going to be released the following year, spent a whole year without a single reveal. It was something I had never seen and well, it was tough, but it made sense and was certainly needed. The game came out well. Now with Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves, that is going to be the proof. If there is something, a trailer coming out in June, as I think there will be, then the game comes out early in 2027, as I think it will come. In fact, I'm betting it will have a very similar release date to Pokémon Legends Arceus and be released at the very beginning of the year in January. If we don't get a trailer though, I fear we might just have to wait until next year for news, and then the game will only come out very late in 2027. My bet though is still January. But what about you? How do you feel about the release date? When do you think the game is coming out? Let me know down below. And now, thank you so much for watching, this is all I have for you today, and I'll see you all on the next one. But before I go, I want to thank my YouTube members Dash Plays and Good Old Deo, as well as my Twitch subscribers Anubis Here, the Dr. Joe and Teixeira23 for going that extra mile. Thank you so much for all of your support.